In the 2025 FIDE Grand Swiss, Parham Maghsoodloo defeated Alireza. How did this happen? We start off in a relatively equal position, but very unclear, very hard to play for both sides. Maghsoodloo is playing black here. He starts with a very logical move, attacking this pawn. Alireza overreacts to this, or perhaps miscalculates a little bit, and he makes a very ambitious move which allows the bishop to take. Of course he would have seen this, but he probably just thought that he had enough going on with these pawns and the knight. But of course Maghsoodloo starts by preventing this pawn from moving. But Alireza gets his other pawn going. It's easy to go wrong for black here. For example, if you try to march your king over, looks pretty logical. You might expect to get your king into the game like this. If you do this, already you're lost because white can do this move, and if you take, then you run into a fork. So you have to play very carefully. Maghsoodloo starts by preventing the king from going over here. Alireza moves his knight, and this knight will be able to come to d3 and try to stop this pawn from marching, and this also clears some space for this pawn to move forward. So no time to waste. Maghsoodloo gets his pawn going up the board. Alireza stops the pawn from moving. But the issue here in this position is there's a very limited amount that white can do. And I don't know if this is what he missed, but white actually cannot really do this, because if the king goes here, let's say, for example, well, actually black does play this move, but for example, if white goes here, then we can push this pawn, the knight's pinned, and if white goes here to try to take the pawn, we can win this knight. We can just take it, and if takes, then here, or we can queen first and then take the knight. So if Parham Maghsoodloo can prevent these pawns from moving forward, then actually he should win. So white goes here, and many moves win, but he makes a careful move here. He drops his rook back, and Alireza brings the pawn forward, and it looks very dangerous, but the king steps right into it, and he pushes, but we just have to be careful to step out of the way of the pawn. Even here it can get a little bit unclear. If we move our rook here, then white has a very interesting move, this knight move here, and this could potentially complicate the win, because if we take the knight, then these two pawns, the 7th rank, are just way too dangerous. One of them is going to queen. We try to move the king here, then white actually just moves this pawn forward. So the way to win is to push this pawn, and if white pushes this pawn here, we're able to sacrifice our rook, and we save that part of the game, and then we're going to get a queen here. But the reason it's a little complicated is because white should do this. We'll bring our king over. White's going to take this pawn. We take this pawn. Knight goes here, takes, king goes here, and we'll save this pawn. And we should win this because the knight shouldn't be able to cover that much ground. Eventually black should win, but it has gotten a little bit more complicated. So this is not the cleanest way to win the game. So back to this position, that's why Maghsoodloo makes this move. It's a nice move. White goes here, and then we go here, and we're finished with getting to these pawns, which was a big objective. And white goes here, and then we're just gonna simply take, and for that reason Alireza resigned here. But things could have gotten a little bit complicated here if white tried this move. Again, we cannot take the knight because white's gonna queen, and actually we should not take this either because the knight will take here, and yeah, if we take this pawn, knight takes here, for example rook here, then the knight retreats here. And this is a little different from before, where I said that it was going to be a win for black when these two pawns were here. Now in this case, white should be able to hold the draw because there's only one pair of pawns left, and the knight should be good enough to be able to play defense and stay in that area and draw the game. black can press for the win, but white should be able to draw. So some careful play is required here, and the only move that wins is this odd-looking king move. Not the obvious move, but the point is that if white takes here, then we're able to get a fork here. And the point is that with our king here, the king covers the queening square. So we're able to do this where in the last variation, this would have not been possible because white would have queened. So in this case, it's completely over because to stop this pawn from moving, white would have to go here, and then we can just simply start to collect the pawns, and then we still have this pawn here. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that endgame example. I thought it was a pretty interesting one, and it's just a good example of even a top player making some mistakes. That's a pretty good example, and yeah, if you enjoyed the video, you can like and subscribe. And also, if you want to check out this game, I'm going to link the tournament in the description. It happened in round 3, so you can just click over to round 3 and check it out. And yeah, lots of good games going on there.